1 month ago, Kim had a heart surgery. After that, on the 6th of May, Pyongyang released some images. This was after weeks of total silence. According to NK Daily, a South Korean news website about North Korea, rumors were swirling. Many people in North Korea knew that Kim Jong-Un was not healthy, but no one could say anything about it for fear they could be arrested. But on the 6th of May, when North Korea released these images, many had doubts. Some say they were very dated and others said they were doctored. And many also said that it wasn't Kim in the pictures at all, but instead a body double. Now, this is not totally out of bounds. After all, over the years, many political leaders have used decoys. This is to make sure they're protected in case of an assassination. They can basically use a decoy as bait to make sure they stay alive. Famously, Adolf Hitler used Gustav Weller as a decoy. Henry Kissinger also did this during a visit to China in 1971. During the visit, no one was allowed to examine Kissinger up close because it wasn't really him. Russian leader Boris Yeltsin also did this, as well as Saddam Hussein many times. Winston Churchill and Harry Truman both used voice decoys during World War II. And Vladimir Putin also uses body doubles for security reasons. So is it really that unsurprising that Kim Jong-Un would as well? After all, he is a big target on the world stage. Many say that eventually North Korea will be invaded. That is because they're currently testing out their nuclear weapons programs, and in doing this, they're breaking lots of international laws, which has led to sanctions. Some say if they don't stop nuke testing, then they could be invaded by the USA or South Korea. Not only that, North Korea has no central banking system. This means they're not reliant on other countries' currency, which is dangerous. At least for other countries, that is. So let's get back to these photos. They were released on the 6th of May, and of course put out by the carefully controlled North Korean media organization KCNA. Jennifer Zeng is someone who fled China because she was being persecuted there. In her tweet, she compares old and new photos of Kim Jong-un, and when you look at them, there are many differences. Zeng isn't the only person to share this. A UK politician named Louise Mensch also shared these images. She pointed out that his gnashers look very different. As you can see in an old photo of Kim Jong-un, his teeth are much larger. They're also square, but in this new image, his teeth are much less square. His eyes also look very different, almost like he's had Botox. Other images were shared of Kim's ear. Your ear is the only bone that never changes from when you're a baby to when you're an old man. But as you can see, Kim's has. It used to jot out, but now it jots backwards. The image on the left was taken in 2020, but the image on the right was taken 10 years earlier in 2010. These have led lots of people to doubt the North Korean propaganda machine. There also appears to be a highlighted dot on Kim's wrist. However, experts say this could be related to a cardiovascular surgery he had. Many believe that this was the reason for his absence. Lots of the time, surgeons will make markings on you to know where to operate. Kim did not have this before, but in these TV screenshots he clearly does. But is this a body double or is it just Kim Jong-un with surgery? The images were taken at the grand opening of a fertilizer factory. But according to the news site Daily NK, this is also questionable. One of their North Korean sources say the factory was put together just 2 days before Kim arrived. The construction workers worked day and night to give the appearance of a finished factory. And the order to prepare this completion ceremony apparently came from North Korea's Central Committee. Some say that Kim Jong-un's late father, Kim Jong-il, also used body doubles. This is a claim that Toshimitsu Sujimura, a Japanese university professor, claims. He says that in 2003, Kim Jong-il did not shake Bill Clinton's hand. Instead, this was a body double. Some in the media did actually ask what the US president thought about Kim Jong-un's situation. Bizarrely, Trump responded, "I'd rather not comment on it yet. We'll have something to say at the appropriate time." Does this suggest maybe Trump has knowledge we don't about Kim Jong-un? Maybe he knows that he's in bad health or isn't alive. And perhaps he actually knows that Kim is using a body double, but we can't say for sure. But the question is, do you believe Jennifer Zeng and Louise Mensch? Many people do, but others are skeptical of these two ladies, claiming that Kim's using a body double. TMZ suggested that the images they shared may have been faked. But what's definitely not fake is Kim's mark on his arm. This is likely a surgical tattoo from his cardiovascular procedure. We'll have to wait and see what happens next. Ever since these photos were released, Kim Jong-un has not been seen. And this just adds to the mystery. The Hindustan Times says the USA believes Kim Jong-un is in the greater Pyongyang area. But as people are not allowed to freely travel in and out of North Korea, we don't know. Also, gossiping about the North Korean dictator is illegal under North Korean law. It's no secret the US government is looking for an alternative way to deal with North Korea. After all, North Korea has done 6 nuclear tests, most of them in 2016 and 2017. These tests have implemented many sanctions, but Kim Jong-un does not seem to care. These sanctions mainly affect poor people in the country of North Korea, not the wealthy elite. So that's why Washington may be changing their strategy. In 2018, Business Insider reported Kim Jong-un is extremely afraid of assassination, and he was even mocked worldwide for his high levels of security at the summit in Singapore to meet Trump. But would the USA really assassinate a fellow world leader? Before the Cold War, the USA would do this a lot. That was until President Gerald R. Ford. He passed an executive order saying no employee of the United States government should engage in or conspire to engage in political assassination. This law was then solidified by his successor, President Ronald Reagan. But while it is technically illegal, it doesn't mean that you can't overthrow countries. For example, in 2011, the USA helped the people of Libya to assassinate Muammar al-Gaddafi. And also in times of crisis, executive orders can be overwritten. But if the USA or another country assassinated Kim Jong-un, would this solve North Korea's problems? Well, if Kim Jong-un was assassinated, the chances are we would have war with North Korea. They have many nuclear missiles, which could take out Seoul, South Korea, and Tokyo, Japan. It's also thought they may be able to send nuclear missiles to Europe and even the USA. Of course, many North Koreans do live in fear, but they've also been brainwashed to love their leaders. For example, when Kim Jong-il passed away, people were crying in the streets. Now, they were forced to do this, but many genuinely were sad because they see these people as higher beings. Without their supreme leader, they may think life is not worth living. So why not take out the entire world in the process? Many really are loyal to Kim Jong-un, citizens and also in the government, and assassinating him would definitely be an act of war. They'd also be scared for their country, so they would likely take out the US military bases in South Korea. But if Kim Jong-un was assassinated, who would replace him as the leader of North Korea? Kim Jong-un does have a brother, Kim Jong-nam, but he actually assassinated him in Malaysia, so he won't be taking over. Kim Jong-un is rumored to have 3 children. One is a girl named Kim Ju-ae, and the others are a mystery and we don't know how old they are, but they are too young to lead. And this is why many experts say that Kim's sister, Kim Yo-jong, would take over the reins if Kim Jong-un was assassinated. She is said to be as unpredictable as her brother. Whenever Kim Jong-un is sick or wants a vacation, she takes over running the country. And many say she is basically his chief of staff, meaning she has incredible power as it is. If anything happened to her brother or her country, she would retaliate with nuclear force. So simply by assassinating Kim Jong-un would not turn North Korea into a democracy. If Kim's sister didn't take over, then the government could collapse entirely. This could send North Korea into a civil war, perhaps between the elite generals of the country and the farm workers and poor citizens. North Korea has incredible instability as it is, and a civil war would be a humanitarian disaster. The North Korean economy is down the toilet. This is partly because of the trade embargoes and sanctions, and also because they dump a lot of money into nuclear weapons, neglecting the people's real needs. Their agriculture is also very stalled, and in the event of a civil war, this would likely come to a total end. This could mean everyone would need to leave North Korea and go to countries with food, for example, South Korea and China. So even though Kim Jong-un is a terrible dictator, he is the one thing keeping North Korea together. If he was taken out, the country could be even worse than it is right now. From history, we can learn that foreign intervention is never a good thing. Just look at many countries in the Middle East, for example. You may think taking out a brutal dictator would make all the problems go away. But as has been proven time and time again, that's just not how the world works. It's more nuanced than that. What does Kim Jong-un actually eat? Shark fin soup. This one is a controversial thing around the world. Shark fishing is illegal in most countries. That's because the sharks are often captured and their fins cut off, harming the sharks. But it's said to be one of the favorite foods of the North Korean dictator. We know that Kim Jong-un loves shark fin soup. That's because it was told to the Western press by Kenji Fujimoto. Kenji is Kim Jong-un's personal chef. Kenji has said that Kim Jong-un loves boozy banquets with shark fin soup. The Japanese delicacy is said to be one of Kim's most favorite foods. Kenji said that at the big banquets Kim Jong-un has, everyone gets super drunk. And apparently Kim Jong-un sometimes eats so much of this he can't eat anymore. But because of people mainly in Vietnam, China and Japan loving this soup so much, it has made sharks nearly extinct. Snake wine. Kim Jong-un is very rich. and like many rich people, he enjoys fine wines. In Kim's palace, he has a wine cellar, and according to the Metro, Kim regularly drinks snake wine. This is a wine which comes with the body of a cobra in the bottle. This is thought to increase the vitality of whoever drinks it. Apparently, Kim wanted to have a second child with his wife, but because of a biological problem, he couldn't. That's why he began drinking snake wine to increase his virility and vitality. One South Korean expat said the elite in North Korea make jokes about Kim Jong-Un. They say he's too big to please his wife and that's why he can't have more kids. So maybe Kim drinking this snake wine will help him in the bedroom department. Snake wine is actually pretty popular all across Southeast Asia, especially in China. It tastes similar to rice wine, and it's also very expensive as an entire cobra comes inside the bottle. Russian vodka. Kim Jong-un does not have many friends around the world, but one friend he does have is Vladimir Putin from Russia. In fact, many sanctioned items are shipped into North Korea from Russia, and one thing that Kim Jong-un loves is Russian vodka. In 2019, Dutch authorities seized 90,000 bottles of Russian vodka. These were heading for Pyongyang in North Korea, but they had to be seized due to sanctions. Previously, officials from around the world have seized champagnes, cheeses, and TVs going to North Korea. However, the 90,000 seized bottles of vodka were found underneath an aircraft fuselage. Officials say that they believe the vodka was going to be enjoyed by Kim and his military commanders. It's said that Russian vodka is one of Kim's favorites, and when they have their boozy banquets, everyone gets very drunk. Emmental cheese. Emmental cheese is a delicious holy cheese from Switzerland. It's complex to make, has an iconic appearance, and is pretty expensive too. A lot of people don't know this, but Kim actually spent his school days in Switzerland. That's where he picked up his love for Emmental cheese. He is said to eat more of this than any other food, and this may explain his obesity, and also why he had to step out of public eye in 2014 and 2020 for health reasons. Yonhap, a South Korean newspaper, even said he was obsessed with cheese. In 2014, North Korean officials visited a French dairy college. This was to try and get better cheeses for their country and for Kim. They even proposed to the French dairy college that some could come to North Korea and become Kim's personal cheesemakers. But they turned down the offer. After all, if you visit North Korea, you may never make it back. Hennessy. If you think it's only American rappers who like drinking Hennessy, then you'd be wrong. World leaders, or at least one world leader, also loves it. Kim Jong-un's father is said to have spent $1 million a year on Hennessy. This is a brand of cognac from France, costing around $700 per bottle. So Kim Jong-un's father loved Hennessy, but so does Kim. In 2013, he ordered the execution of 2 of his uncle's political aides. And sources say that when he did this, he was drunk on Hennessy. Alexander I was also said to love Hennessy, and authorities say that thousands of bottles of the stuff are shipped into North Korea every year. Considering that one of these bottles would cost the average annual salary of a North Korean, I assume no citizens drink this. But I'm sure Kim's entourage, his military personnel, and politicians definitely do. Kobe steak. According to Kenji Fujimoto, Kim Jong-un's personal chef, Kim loves Kobe steak. Kenji revealed that Kim eats this often during banquets. It's one of the most expensive types of beef on the planet. And to qualify as Kobe, the beef must meet a lot of criteria. It needs to be very good quality, weigh a certain amount, and come from a certain location. A pound of this beef can cost around $200. But at Kim's luxury banquets, he spares no expense. Sushi. Sushi originated in Japan, but is popular now all around the world, especially in Asia. But if you've ever been to a sushi restaurant, you know things can get pretty pricey. But luckily for Kim, he has his own personal sushi chef. Kenji Fujimoto, his personal chef, studied sushi preparation in culinary school. Kenji Fujimoto was also Kim's good friend and playmate during their childhood years. He says Kim Jong-un loves the fatty part of tuna. This is the same part his father, Kim Jong-il, loved. Kenji is originally from Japan, but went to North Korea in 1982. In 2013, GQ interviewed Kenji. He said that in 2017, he'd opened a sushi restaurant in Pyongyang, but it's not known whether Kim is a regular at the restaurant or not. Brazilian coffee. Import data from 2016 revealed that in 1 year, North Korea has imported over $1 million worth of Brazilian coffee. This wasn't for the entire country, but instead Kim Jong-un and his military commanders. Brazil is said to be the home of the best coffee in the world. In recent years, Brazil has overtaken Colombia as the largest exporter of coffee. Brazil's soft soil and hot climate makes it the ideal conditions to grow coffee beans in. And it's said that Kim only drinks the most expensive coffee from Brazil. It's said his favorite brand is Fazenda Santa Ines. Just 1 pound of this can set you back $50. And other brands Kim is said to drink can cost as much as $500 for 1 pound. I guess after all of that vodka and Hennessy, you need something to make you recover when you wake up the next day. Caviar and lobster. Caviar and lobster is pretty much a cliche at this point. Every fat cat around the world seems to love these two very expensive foods. We gained an insight as to how much Kim likes this stuff in 2019. That was when Kim stayed at a 5-star hotel in Vietnam, the Legend Metropole Hanoi Hotel. This was when Kim Jong-Un and Donald Trump had a summit. Kim's staff apparently tasted every dish he was about to eat 1 hour before to check it was safe. Trump asked for his steak to be well done, while Kim said he wanted his very rare. Hotel staff also said Kim loved the caviar and lobster. These two foods are considered luxury items, and thus every UN country is not allowed to ship them into North Korea. Cristal. After successfully launching a missile into the air, what are you supposed to celebrate with but champagne? You may think of Cristal being at some kind of trendy LA club, but it's also in North Korea's palaces. Kenji Fujimoto has said that Kim loves Cristal champagne. Apparently, he would drink around 2 bottles in one sitting. Cristal was also a favorite of Alexander II of Russia. Bottles of this stuff can go from around $1,000 to $10,000. Only the most rich and extravagant people around the world drink it, and Kim falls into that criteria. 1 bottle of this stuff is 500 calories alone, and seeing as Kim is said to drink 2 in one sitting, that's an additional 1,000 calories every day. Yeah, all of a sudden those health problems are starting to make sense. Bordeaux Wines. It seems Kim Jong-Un can't get enough of luxury alcohol. We've already gone over how Kim Jong-Un has his own wine cellar with snake wine, but he also has some of the world's finest wines from France. Kenji said that Kim once drank 10 bottles of Bordeaux wine in one night. Because Bordeaux is a very broad range of wines, we don't know exactly what ones he drinks, but bottles of the finest Bordeaux wines can sell for tens of thousands of dollars. If Kim really does sometimes drink 10 bottles a night, this is very bad for his health. But judging by the rest of the stuff Kim eats, I don't think that's a concern to him. We all know that recently Kim Jong-Un was rumored to not be alive. Some South Korean officials said they were 99% sure the leader was no longer alive, and so did the US Republican Senator Lindsey Graham. In recent photos, it does appear that Kim Jong-Un is in fact alive. But it wouldn't be a surprise if he had more health problems down the line because of how much he eats. Most people in his country don't have basic foods, but he has pretty much access to anything. This may be nice for him, but probably bad for his health long term. Crazy rules North Korean prison guards have to follow. No escape. The first rule of being a North Korean prison guard is do not let anyone escape. As footage has shown, it's hard enough to escape North Korea, which is a crime in itself. But the only thing worse than that is trying to escape from a North Korean prison camp. Sometimes the prisoners will try and break out of the prison camp. There are fields all around the camp and they're pretty much in the middle of nowhere. But there have been various successful escapes. The escapees usually flee to South Korea or China. But as a North Korean prison guard, if you let a prisoner escape, you are in big trouble. In fact, it's a crime in itself, as you may have aided the prisoner escaping. Even if you didn't and they simply got away, you may still be blamed and go to prison. According to former North Korean prison guards, this could land you in a re-education camp yourself. And then the shoe will be on the other foot, and the prison guard will become the prisoner. That's why if someone tries to escape, they'll likely just be shot by the North Korean prison guards. They're taught to do this because otherwise it's going to be them behind bars. Payment. You may wonder what motivates someone to be so evil to become a North Korean prison guard. There are various reasons why people do this, for example, psychological manipulation. But another reason is money. North Korea is one of the poorest nations in the world. 60% of the population of North Korea live below the poverty line. North Korea used to get a lot of money from China and also the Soviet Union. But after the Soviet Union collapsed, this money dried up. The government also used to give people food. They don't do this anymore because they spend too much money on their nuclear weapons programs. This means that being a prison guard is a pretty good gig. The salary ranges from $1,433 to $2,149 a year. That is higher than the average wage in North Korea. And North Korean prison guards also get extra money from families of prisoners. Sometimes they're corrupt and will accept money in exchange for letting people out of prison. And sometimes things are smuggled into the prisons, for example, cell phones from China. Sympathy manipulation. Another reason why North Korean prison guards are so brutal is because they're manipulated themselves. Lim Hae-jin, a former prison guard, says his government lied to him and manipulated him. He said, "We were manipulated to not feel any sympathy for the prisoners. We were told they'd committed terrible crimes, but now I know they were normal people, I feel very guilty." He also said he feels betrayed by the leaders who lied to him. "We were told not to see these people as humans, now I feel traumatized." So the people who train the North Korean guards pretty much tell them to not see the prisoners as humans. They also don't tell them the crimes of the people behind bars. They tell them that the prisoners have done the worst crimes imaginable, when in reality it's not true. The prisoners in these camps are mostly people who criticize the government. There are also people who are deemed politically unreliable, for example South Korean prisoners of war. Also Christians and returnees from Japan. And even a few former senior party members of the North Korean government. So before the guards go to work at the re-education camps, they're re-educated themselves. Smuggling. One strict rule that North Korean prison guards must follow but sometimes don't is no smuggling. North Korea is pretty much cut off from the entire world. They trade with almost no countries because there's embargoes and sanctions all over the place. Also, North Korean mobile phones are blocked from making or receiving international calls. But when you're a higher ranking person than average, for example a prison guard, you can get around these laws. Sometimes they can make trips into China and smuggle in mobile phones. And for that, they charge a fee which gains the prison guards even more money. This is illegal, and if they were caught doing it, they would be sent to a prison camp themselves. But because money is so tight in North Korea, some take the risk anyway. Also, some prisoners in the camps have wealthy or powerful family and friends. For example, purged members of the North Korean government. So sometimes things are smuggled in for those prisoners by the prison guards. The prisoners' families will pay the guards, and in exchange, they'll smuggle in things like phones and anything else. This is a good but risky way that North Korean prison guards supplement their income. Even in North Korea, you have to have a side hustle. Life-taking. I've already covered that before prison guards go to work, they're taught to not see the prisoners as human beings. One former prison guard named Ang Mon-chol described how this works. He said camp guards are taught that prisoners are factionalists and class enemies. So that's why they have to be destroyed like weeds down to their roots. Based on this, the guards may take a prisoner's life at any time if they don't obey their orders. If a prisoner breaks a rule, then a security officer can decide whether or not to take that prisoner's life. Anne even said he'd taken the lives of 31 people himself. These 31 people were from 5 families, and it was all because one member of one family tried to escape. So basically, if any rule is broken, then the prison guards can take the prisoner's life and their entire family's life too. 24/7 shifts. In prison camps, people live there 24/7, and in North Korea's largest camp, Hurayong prison camp, there are 50,000 prisoners. This means that there has to be lots of guards on hand at all times. The guards pretty much live like prisoners. They have much nicer bedrooms and they also get more food. The prisoners have to do hard labor between the hours of 5 AM to 8 PM. This will either be in agriculture, mining, or inside factories. And during a 24-hour day, there are 3 shifts of prison guards. This means the prison guards work incredibly long hours. And it's not like these guards can simply go home. These prison camps are located in the middle of nowhere. This is so that if anyone tries to escape, they'll likely pass away before getting back to a town or city. So that's why the prison guards simply have to live in their own quarters and can't go home. They only get a few weeks of holiday every single year. During that time, they can return home to their families. But sometimes they'll simply have a forced relationship with women in the prison camps. Collective punishment. In most countries, if you do a crime, then you go to prison. But in North Korea, that's not how things fly. North Korea has what's known as a guilt by association principle. This means that if you commit a crime, your entire family will be going to prison with you. This includes your wife, children, and elderly relatives. And any children born inside the camp too. There's also collective punishments. For example, the former North Korean guard who admitted to taking the lives of 31 people. These were people from 5 different families, all because one person in one family tried escaping. You may wonder why he took 31 lives for the act of one person. And the reason why is because it scares every other prisoner in the camp. No one wants to break any rules because their entire family will be punished, as well as other families who they may be friendly with. This is a really nasty and brutal way of keeping everyone in line in the prison camp. Based on satellite photos, there are today 6 political prison camps in North Korea. And according to the Washington Post, there could be as many as 130,000 North Koreans in these 4 camps. Let's hope these are soon closed down, but until they're not, we will keep reporting on this. North Korea's one-star airline. So Air Koryo is very small and has a fleet of less than 20 aircraft. And their fleet consists of 3 different types of aircraft. Their main plane is an Ilyushin IL-62. They also have the Russian-made Tupolev Tu-204 and some Mi-17 helicopters. Now, you probably haven't heard of any of these brands, they're not like Boeing after all, and they're actually the same aircrafts they've had since the 1950s. However, they do work and can fly from Pyongyang to Moscow, Russia. Back in the 50s, they also used to travel to East Germany and Bulgaria, both part of the Soviet Union. But in more modern times, post-Soviet Union, they've gone to places like Prague, Budapest, and Zurich. But they're no longer allowed to do this because in 2006, they were added to the list of banned aircraft carriers in the European Union. So they joined the ranks of Afghanistan, Iran, Venezuela, and many other countries on the banned airlines list. This means today they're not allowed to fly to any countries in the European Union. The reason why is because the current supreme leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-Un, loves missiles. After their 4th nuclear test, they were put on the UN list of banned countries. These sanctions meant that other countries were not allowed to sell them any airlines. And that's why they haven't upgraded since the 1950s when it comes to their fleet of aircraft. Countries which are members of the UN, which is almost every country, is not allowed to sell North Korea various things. This includes anything in the way of transportation like planes, trains, cars and boats. However, sometimes countries like Russia do break these laws. That's how Kim Jong-Un is able to travel in Mercedes cars. They're shipped in from Russia illegally. But even Russia is not so blatant as to sell North Korea a plane, as it would be too obvious. So where does Air Koryo fly today? Well, right now they fly out of Pyongyang to 5 locations. This includes Vladivostok, Russia, Shenyang, Beijing and Shanghai in China, and also Macau, which is the gambling capital of the world. Many wealthy North Korean elites, including Kim Jong-Un himself, enjoy traveling to Macau to spend lots of money gambling. But what's it like inside an Air Koryo plane? Well, first off, the cockpit is very different to a modern aircraft. There are no digital screens, and everything is done with old-school dials. If there's not enough legroom on board, the seats on the planes actually fold down. And there's also an entertainment system, but there's only one channel, which plays North Korean dramas and documentaries. The in-flight meal consists of chicken, sauce, cake, and a fruit cocktail for dessert. But some experts say that Air Koryo may not be around in a few decades. That's because their airplanes are getting seriously old and they can't get any new ones. Because of one particular missile test which nearly hit Japan, they were sanctioned heavily by the UN. So unless these sanctions are lifted, and they probably won't be, North Korea won't be getting any new airplanes anytime soon. But after hearing all of this information about Air Koryo, you're probably saying, Charlie, how can I book a flight on this airline? Well, it's seriously easy. You just simply follow the webpage linked in the description below and you can actually check out their website yourself. As you can see, here it is on the screen, and you can simply book a flight from anywhere, and it really does work. A basic flight, say from Russia to North Korea, will set you back about $200. And according to their website, they have offices in Moscow, Vladivostok, Beijing, Shenyang, Berlin, Kuwait, and Dandong. But perhaps this information was written before they were banned by all UN countries. And I have to say, if you want to experience Soviet aircraft travel in the 1950s, then you can today. Just make sure it's actually legal for you to use this one-star airline. Many countries, including the UK and USA, advise their citizens not to go into North Korea. Unless you've been living under a rock, I'm sure you've heard the rumours about Kim Jong-Un's health. After all, hashtag Kim Jong Un Gone was #1 trending on Twitter yesterday. Right now, there are 3 positions people are taking. Some say all is normal and he's alive and well. Some say he's in a comatose state, unable to talk or move. And some flat out say he's no longer with us. Kim, who's only 36, has not been seen since April 11th. That was the last time he was seen in state media during a meeting. He was also absent for the anniversary of North Korea's founding father, his grandfather Kim Il-sung. This is very unusual and no one usually misses this. According to Cheong Song Chan, this is unthinkable. Chang is the director of North Korean studies at a university in South Korea. He said Kim not attending his grandfather's anniversary is the closest thing to blasphemy in North Korea. But one thing we do know is that he's in bad health. These reports first came from a news source named Daily NK. They have a network of insiders in North Korea, and these insiders leak secrets to the South Korean website. Insiders say Kim was in the Hansang County. That was when he put his hand on his heart and fell to the ground. This was on April the 12th. He was taken to hospital and had to have a cardiovascular procedure. This was made necessary by heavy smoking, obesity, and fatigue. Soon after, a US official with knowledge of the situation said Kim was in grave danger. Then, yesterday on April 25th, China sent 25 doctors to North Korea. That is apparently because Kim's situation has worsened. Recently, a special train for Kim's use had been seen in the Wonsan region, but Kim's private plane is still in Pyongyang, so he hasn't left the country. But today some more news came about Kim Jong-Un. That is from US Senator Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham said that he would be shocked if Kim Jong-Un wasn't dead. Not only that, a top Hong Kong TV director claimed a solid source told her that Kim Jong-Un is no longer with us. Apparently, his cardiovascular surgery was a heart operation, and the surgeon apparently messed this up. If I was that surgeon, I'd get out of North Korea as soon as possible. Also on Twitter, this photo circulated of Kim Jong-un. Many say this is proof that he's no longer alive, but despite many news agencies sharing it, it's actually a faked, photoshopped image. But recently a South Korean source says Kim is still alive. Now, South Korea may have their own reasons for saying this. Instability in North Korea could tank the South Korean futures market. This could lead to lots of wealth in South Korea being lost. So right now things are still up in the air, but that's the information we have. But if Kim Jong-un did pass away, then who would replace him? Normally this would be the next man in the bloodline. But Kim Jong-un's eldest son is only 9 years old. That's why many say his successor would likely be his sister, Kim Yo-jong. She apparently already runs many of the country's affairs, and some describe her as even more brutal than her brother. But what would this mean for peace in the region? Well, Kim Yo-jong is said to be very aggressive. She described South Korea as a scared dog barking. One thing's for sure, she's tough. Another thing that could happen if Kim Jong-un passed away is Bitcoin crashing. North Korea has amassed $670 million in Bitcoin. The UN Security Council says this is mainly from hacking. But news of Kim Jong-un's passing could cause Bitcoin to crash. It could trigger a big sell-off in Bitcoin, crashing the price. But for the time being, we'll have to wait and see what happens with the situation. In the meantime, I'll leave it up to you guys to tell me what you think. Vote in the poll in the top right corner. What do you think is the true situation with Kim Jong-un? If you want some more amazing videos, check out my second channel. But as always, thanks for watching. There's some more videos you may like on screen right now. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.